Vincent sent me a YouTube clip of Bill Maher mocking Blake's failure to mate or even date. Maher reckoned the boy was fortunate to die a baptized Christian. Can you imagine anything more awkward than being a recently deceased terrestrial virgin tasked with satisfying 72 virgin brides in the afterlife? It's so ludicrously tragic, like if O. Henry wrote The Gift of the Magi as a gangbang gone wrong. Picture this. You've just sacrificed yourself to kill some infidels, okay? You made the cut, and it's your first night using your rewards card in Martyr's Paradise, but you squandered the search and destroy exploratory years of your puberty sitting in front of a computer screen, turning tube socks into freestanding sculpture, so you don't know what the fuck to do with a warm and willing body. The girls certainly aren't going to make the first move because they're virgins, remember? Together, you're a 73-piece flat-pack orgy kit from IKEA, but nobody's got a fucking hex wrench. I gasped, took a deep breath that left my medicated head light and throbbing, filled my chest with a feathery sensation like hot cotton candy, and when I felt something bigger coming, I let it all go. It was the first time I laughed since the bombing. I snorted and hacked up a jelly-thick blood clot from my sinuses. Brady sprang to the doorway to flag down a nurse as I coughed into a handful of tissue. I blotted pinkish tears leaking from my wound, wiped the liver-colored wad off my lips and chin, and waved for Brady to stand down. "Brady," I said, "I'm fine. Come on back. We're not done discussing this." My perpetual headache flared beyond its baseline level of steady torture. I was exhausted, crying blood like a pop-eyed Catholic miracle, scheming to devise another Jedi mind trick that might rewire Brady's will and convince him not to leave 5 ways. Brady stood in the doorway, sighed, and looked up at the ceiling. "I'm not Bowie," he said. "I can be replaced. You saw how quickly we lined up new bass players and they weren't lured by money. There's a waiting list to fill Kev's spot. Did you know that? Kim Deal, Robert Trujillo, fucking Flea. The bombing turned this tour into some kind of symbol. It's like a popular movement for creative free speech, and suddenly we're hot again. Bigger than before, even at our peak. Mike's booked us on Good Morning Britain, Saturday Night Live, Graham Norton, Jules Holland. We'll be playing dates through the new year, and the boys are badgering me to pen a Christmas #1. I was only tired before, but now I'm truly sick of it, Margaret. Sick to fucking death, so why can't you understand?" He sat beside me, reached over the bed rail, and carefully gathered my hand. "My wife was very nearly murdered in an act of terrorism," Brady said. "If I dropped out to care for you, I'm sure the fans would forgive me." He smoothed the hair on my blind side. I startled under his touch. 15 days had passed since our cursed tour departed France, oozed under the channel like sewage, and bubbled up in Norwich without a bass player. Before our driver could cut the engine, Brady dashed from the coach to gather the band and welcome John Hassall, Kev's temporary replacement. John was a quiet veteran of brutal battles waged on stage between Carl Barat and Pete Doherty. His resume of traumatic exposure to that genius Gemini Pisces time bomb at the heart of the Libertines meant John would find the task of filling in for Kev about as challenging as drawing a warm bath. I got my access pass from Brady's assistant and left Earlham Park in an Uber to anonymously explore Norwich by night. Picked up the Sun, a pack of cigarettes, the Mirror, and the Daily Mail. Read the latest coverage of Kev's death and my wedding over a disgusting basket of oily fish and chips, and texted a single question mark to Dayglow Dave. I walked for blocks to shake the road from my bones, and when I looked up, I was blissfully lost in a curved canyon of identical 2-story homes. The repeating pattern of brick chimneys and duplex roofs cut a houndstooth hem from the deep blue fabric of night. I checked my phone, eager to find some sign that Dave was open for business. He forewarned me operations in Great Britain wouldn't go live until he retrieved his stash and established a secure line of communication with a new burner phone. I sent a smiley face to Dave and watched the screen. Waited just long enough to go from feeling jonesy and impatient to sad and desperate, absolutely tumbleweed lonely. My breaths came short and shallow as a rising dread crowded my lungs and my stomach bucked. I staggered into a low brick wall, pitched forward, and vomited chunks of breaded cod and nibbled chips all over some innocent oleander and chrysanthemums. Squinting through watery eyes, I crossed the street, sat on the curb, and calmed my troubled gut with a smoke until my Uber arrived. I returned to the coach with a cold six-pack and a take-out taco honeymoon dinner. Brady was bent over at the waist, hyperventilating on the couch in the lounge. I lifted his knees off his chest and rubbed circles between his shoulders until his breathing slowed and his words made sense. He told me he wanted to quit the band.